Hi everyone, my name is Aurora and I'm here with a moving update for you all. It is 10 p.m. on Monday. I believe my last update was about 6 days ago when I had just arrived in North Carolina with the moving truck, and I just haven't had like time to film or really like wanted to film because I've just been exhausted. And I'm pretty tired right now, but I feel like I'm, tired that I don't want to like do anything physically, but not so tired that I can't sit here and chat with you guys. So I just want to give you an update on kind of how the rest of the move went. I am in my apartment now, and I've been here for 3 days. Um, and it was a journey. It really was a journey. Okay, so I took my glasses off because I know there's a glare, and you may also hear some noise because it's raining outside. But just to kind of pick up on that Tuesday, I know I had mentioned to you guys that I was gonna like set up the electricity, like transfer the internet, and do kind of some of that setup work, and then I was going to help my mom like do some packing. Well, that kind of went out the window. I did, try and set up the electricity, try and transfer the internet, but I just ended up like not being able to complete that stuff that day. I did try, but they needed like more information from me. When I signed up for my like renter's insurance, that took longer than I thought because they had to like generate the documents that I had to sign and things like that. So I got everything started that day, but I didn't finish it. And then my mother had told my sister to come over that evening so that we could like load up the moving truck, because she had told my sister that we were leaving on Wednesday, which wasn't true. We weren't leaving until Thursday morning. But yeah, so my sister showed up a couple hours after I talked to you guys, and she was like ready to pack up all my mom's stuff. Since she was there, we went ahead and started packing. My mom had quite a few like plastic totes that she had packed, but she didn't have everything packed into boxes. So she got home from work, and I'm not gonna lie, I was just like tired and not expecting to pack that day. So my sister kind of bore the brunt of like loading all of my mom's stuff into the moving truck. I helped out a little bit here and there, but I didn't do all that much. I was just kind of like directing and making comments. But I was just like a little bit frustrated also because I was hoping that my mother would have had like more packed than she did, and fortunately it all worked out. Like we were able to load all of her stuff. It wasn't maybe wrapped as nicely as I had done everything or packed everything, but we got it in there somehow or another, and we definitely couldn't have done it without my sister, because she like was the one that was like carrying things and organizing things in the moving truck. But we fit it all in and went ahead and like finished up packing all the items that evening into the moving truck. So we didn't have to like open that up again for the rest of the time that I was there in North Carolina. And then the following day, we just spent that time like cleaning the rest of the like rental house that my mom was in. She still had a few kind of carloads of things to take to the Goodwill, so we did that. And then once we had taken those items to Goodwill, we loaded up all the things that were going to be packed in her car, and which was her two TVs, my TV, which I moved from the moving truck into her car, and then a few like items that were breakable that she wanted to make sure like didn't get broken in the moving truck. So loaded all of that up. I finished up like setting up the electricity, getting the renter's insurance, getting all of that stuff organized, because I had to like call them on the phone, and they had me on hold for like an hour so that they could get everything set up. But it all like worked out in the end, even though it was like, it took a lot longer than I had anticipated. But I did manage to do all of that. And then Thursday morning, we headed out at about 6 a.m. on our trip to Texas. So my mom was driving her car, and I was driving the moving truck. And we were only supposed to drive 10 hours that day. And I had booked a hotel room that was kind of like at that 10-hour mark, but I never received a confirmation email. So when I first stopped for gas in the moving truck, it was about 9:30 a.m. and I called the hotel to see, like, I wanted to make sure they got my reservation, and they were like, actually, like, you shouldn't have been able to even book anything online because our hotel is booked through July 4th. And so that kind of like upset my plans for the day. So I was like, okay, well, there are other hotels nearby. Like, I called the Marriott, which was like right next door. I was like, I know it's like more expensive, but usually they're pet friendly, and I just need a room for a night, so it's fine. So I called the hotel next door, and they actually told me they weren't pet friendly, and because we were traveling with my dog, we needed a hotel that was pet friendly. And so I asked the person that had answered the phone, I was like, well, are there any hotels that are pet friendly? And they gave me the name of the hotel that I had tried to book online, that the reservation didn't go through. And then they said, I think there's one other hotel in town that's pet friendly. And I called that hotel and they were not pet friendly either. So unfortunately, like at that 10-hour mark, there were no pet friendly hotels that were available. So I had to kind of like, I spent 45 minutes just parked at the gas station trying to like book a hotel for the evening. And I ended up booking one that was an hour further. So we ended up driving 11 hours that first day. And, like I was driving along and I really only stopped for gas. And like to just, whenever I would stop for gas, I'd grab something to eat. But my mom was just like driving ahead, but she also had to stop more frequently to like let the dog out. So she actually arrived at the hotel maybe an hour before me, and she checked in. And when I arrived in the moving truck, like she was already there, and she was like, oh, just like park in the back where they had extra parking. And we slept for the evening. It was not the best hotel, but at the same time, like they were very accommodating with like having parking for the moving truck and like allowing the dog. And it was reasonably clean. It's just the bed was absolutely horrible. It was like sunken in the middle. But again, we were there for like less than 10 hours. It was just, get a few hours of sleep, get up and shower and go. And so the next day we only had about 4.5 hours to go to Dallas. And so we got on the road early, about 6:30. Because I needed to be here between like noon and 2 p.m. so that I could get the apartment, because the movers were coming at 2. And I didn't know how long it was going to take in the leasing office. Yeah, I forgot to mention that first day though, driving from Charlotte to Texas, I got pulled over by the police in the moving truck. And I was like mortified when I saw the police officer behind me like turn his lights on. I wasn't speeding, but he pulled me over and he said that like he had been following me for a little while, and he was noticing that I was like hugging the kind of right side of the lane, and like sometimes going on to the right shoulder. And apparently the evening before, like in that area where the police officer patrols, there had been an 18-wheeler, a big semi-truck that had clipped an abandoned car that was parked on the shoulder. And I guess the semi-trailer was carrying like wooden pallets or something like that, and they ended up like scattering all over the highway, and it was a big mess that they had to pick up. And because he saw me like driving on the far right of the lane, and kind of sticking close to the shoulder, he wanted to make sure that like I was okay. And so he pulled me over and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just not like used to driving such a big vehicle. And then he asked me for like the U-Haul contract and my driver's license. And I'm so grateful that I packed the U-Haul contract in my like clothing bag, so it was sitting right in the front seat, because it's something that I didn't even think about, like, oh, I should have that contract on hand. But he asked me for that, and then he was like, I'm not gonna give you a ticket. He's like, just try and be more careful. And so he went and he like ran my driver's license and stuff like that, and then he comes back and he's like, okay, like we have to always, like with U-Hauls, we always have to like verify that they weren't stolen. He's like, so I had to run it through some sort of system, and he's like, you'll probably get a text message from U-Haul or something like that saying that you have to verify that you were pulled over. And I was like, okay, great, like another thing to do. But at the same time, I was just grateful that I didn't get a ticket. And I got back on the road, and I was about an hour from the hotel at this point, and I was like driving as carefully as I can. And you know, I understand like what happened the evening before with the semi truck being on the right hand side and clipping the car that was on the shoulder. But at the same time, I feel like I was being cautious, because the U-Haul truck is a much wider vehicle that pretty much takes up the entire lane. So if I try to like stay close to the center line, I feel like that's more dangerous, because there are a lot of cars, even you know, big semi trailers and trucks, that if they're in the left lane, they're going, you know, 75 to 85 miles an hour. And a lot of times people like drift out of their lane. So if I'm in the moving truck in the right lane and I'm like staying close to the center line, then I'm worried that they're gonna like hit me. And I'd much rather like veer onto the shoulder for, you know, a brief moment, like a few seconds, just to avoid, you know, having a collision with a car that's traveling 85 miles an hour. And of course, if there's like, if I see a car parked in the shoulder, you know, like I slow down or I try to like move over if there's no one next to me. I just thought it was like better to stay to the right of the lane, you know, and kind of to the right line, and give more space between like the moving truck and then the cars in the left lane. But that's just like my own personal thoughts. But it was nerve-wracking driving the moving truck, especially when the lanes are like narrower. It's like when you're going through a city and there's multiple lanes, like 5 or 6 lanes, they're usually much more narrow. Or if there's construction going on, they narrow the lanes, and you're already driving like a wider vehicle in the moving truck. So fortunately, I did make it without incident. I did get pulled over, but no ticket. And like I made it here. And actually in Dallas, like I was expecting traffic to be a lot worse, but we didn't run into like heavy traffic or heavy construction. So on Friday, we got into Dallas at about noon. I went to the leasing office and they had like everything ready. And because I had done like all of the paperwork and set up the electricity and renter's insurance and, you know, all of the stuff that they needed from me in advance, it was a really like kind of quick process. And they gave me the key to my apartment, and I was able to like pull the moving truck in right in front of the building. And yeah, we were just kind of like checking the apartment out. I didn't film that, and now you're just gonna see it like with our stuff in here, but I will give you like a tour of the apartment. And then the movers showed up at 2 p.m. They unloaded everything pretty quickly. I think they were decent movers. I feel like the other movers that I've hired in the past have been a little bit better. You know, like nothing was damaged or broken, but I do feel like they were trying to like put too many things on a dolly and bring it in, and so they would kind of like bump into some of the doors and walls with things. You know, I did notice like them, like they had my couch on a furniture dolly, but it was kind of like rubbing up against the floor a little bit. It wasn't anything like that I would complain about, but at the same time I do feel like they were a little like less careful. And even at the end, like they had just kind of thrown the moving blankets back into the moving truck. The rope that was used to tie like the furniture, they didn't like cut them off or anything. They just kind of left it there, and I had to do all that before I returned the moving truck. But at the same time, I'm just grateful like that they came and they unloaded everything and I didn't have to do it. So yeah, anyways, that was done probably about 4 p.m. and I knew that I wanted to return the moving truck that day, even though I technically had it until Sunday. I was just ready to get rid of it. Like driving, you know, what, I drove 10-11 hours from New York, and then another like 16 hours to Texas, and then getting pulled over and like having that shock. Like I just don't want to drive a big vehicle like that again. I was so ready to be like back in a normal car, but I made it. Like that was something I never thought that I would do or could do, but I did do it. The like U-Haul return location was maybe 4 miles from here, and I did luck out because I put gas maybe 60 or 70 miles outside of Dallas. And we like didn't waste hardly any gas getting those final few miles here. So the truck was still pretty much full, which is the like what I had to return it at. So I didn't have to like go to a gas station or anything. I literally just like returned it back to the U-Haul. My mom followed me there in her car, and then we came back to the apartment. And they didn't process like the return while I was there. They were just like, leave the keys on the seat and we'll get to it later. And they sent me an email, and there weren't any additional charges or anything like that. And then Saturday, we spent the morning going to the grocery store and Dollar Tree to get some basic cleaning supplies. And then the afternoon was spent like tackling the kitchen, because that's probably where we had the most stuff and a lot of duplicate items, because my mom had her kitchen stuff, I had my kitchen stuff, and it was just the most amount of boxes. So to kind of clear space and start putting all that away. So like we both were working like simultaneously, and then when we would run into duplicates of things, we'd be like, okay, let's keep this one, and this other one we'll like put in a box to take to our family when we go see them in a couple of weeks. And we worked on that all Saturday. It was exhausting, but we made good progress. And then Sunday, kind of wrapped up some final things with the kitchen, and my mom started working on her closet, and I started working on the living room, because the things that were like the boxes that were left in the living room were mostly like my boxes that I had packed. So it was like, okay, like I need to open them up and see what's in them so I can sort them. Like, does it go to my closet? Does it go to my bathroom? Does it go into my bedroom? Is it stuff that was like part of my little office corner in my last apartment? So that I could clear those boxes out. And then also just like set up the living room stuff. So put together like the little dining table that I had, unwrap like the TV cabinet, get the TV legs back on so I could set that up, unwrap the couch. So that was Sunday, and today is Monday. And we ran into a situation where there's a lot of like ants in the kitchen, and you know, like the first time it was like, okay, we'll just like, you know, put some cleaner, like wipe them up because there weren't that many. but then a whole bunch came back, and they were starting to like come out of like the crevices of the baseboards in the kitchen, and like they were making their way onto the counter. And I was like, okay, well, I have to go get some ant spray. And so I went to the store, came back, and I like wiped down all of the baseboards, like everything on the perimeter of the kitchen, into like the little hallway sections to both my mother's room and bathroom and my room and bathroom. I didn't do the living room because I hadn't seen any ants in there, but like just I wanted to make sure everything in the kitchen, like I went all around the island. I wiped it down with like water, a little bit of soap and vinegar, because vinegar is supposed to like repel ants. Let that dry, and then I went in with like Raid ant spray all along the baseboards and all along the perimeter. It does kind of leave like a greasy kind of thing, but I just did it along like the baseboards, and I feel like that greasiness also helps it last for like a couple of weeks. So hopefully like we won't have to deal with the ants. And then today I also like returned to the leasing office. Like they had given me a little paper where I could fill out if there was anything that was broken, or you know, anything that I wanted to note. And there really wasn't much. Like the apartment is pretty, like it's in really good shape. There wasn't anything that was like half done or anything like that. The only thing is like the refrigerator did have a dent like on the side. You can't see it from the front, and it's really not a big deal, but I just put that on there because I don't want to be charged for it when I move out. And then there was like a cabinet in the kitchen. It wasn't broken. It was just like, you know how you put like the little brackets, like 4 little brackets, and then you sit the shelf on top. It was just missing one bracket, so the shelf's a little bit wobbly, which I'm sure they can just like give me a bracket and I can pop it in there myself. It's not a big deal. And then I did note that there were like ants. So they are gonna send the pest control on Thursday. So I was glad that they were able to kind of take care of that. And then I did request 2 more like key fobs. So to get into the apartment, it's not like a regular key. And it's not like a keypad where you punch in a code, or like my last apartment where you just used your phone. It's like an actual like special key fob, and they only gave me 1. And I was like, I need like 2 more, because like even if I just like go outside to take the dog for a walk, the door like closes behind you and it locks, and if you don't have that little key fob, you can't get back in. And I was like, I just need a couple more, because I'm gonna lock myself out. Like if I just like run out to take the dog out really quickly and I forget that key fob, I'm like screwed. So you know, 2 more key fobs would be really beneficial, because like I could have one on my keys, my mom could have one on her keys, and then the 3rd one we could just like put on a keychain on the dog leash, because I feel like that's probably when we'd be most likely to lock ourselves out, is when, you know, we go and walk the dog. But the key fobs are like $100 a piece. But I was like, whatever, like I need more key fobs. And so hopefully they'll be able to get that for us soon. My apartment also, like I also went ahead and rented a storage room and a garage. And I don't have like key fobs for those yet, because like there's something going on that they had to like order something for the garage and the storage units. But we did go ahead and put stuff in our storage unit already. Like you can't like see into them, and I don't think anyone's gonna steal anything, because there's no one living in this building except for us. And you know, but as soon as they like fix the locks on them, it'll be fine. But there were just like seasonal decorations, like totes of seasonal decorations, or like my mom had like a folding camping chair, just like random things like fans and stuff like that that aren't worth very much, but they're just things we want to like keep around. And we didn't want them like in the way in the apartment because there's actually not a lot of storage aside from the 2 like walk-in closets for each bedroom. There aren't any like storage closets. So I definitely needed that little storage room, and we've moved, you know, our seasonal decor out there just to get it out of the way. And I haven't put anything in the garage yet. My car is parked in there, but the door just like stays open because we don't have any like way to close it because there's no like mechanism yet. But eventually, like, I also have a shelf that I want to put in there, and we can put like cleaning supplies like the vacuum cleaner and mops and stuff because there's not a closet in the apartment for that sort of stuff. We could put tools out there, just things that like there really isn't space to put in here. So I'm really glad that I ended up getting both the storage closet and the garage, and it's directly across from my apartment, so it's really easy to like access. Today I also was waiting to get our internet set up because I had called them. Well, I had tried to do it online, but they couldn't complete it online, so I had to call them on Saturday and actually speak to someone to get it set up. And they were like, okay, we'll send like either Sunday or Monday, you'll get a call from the service technician so that they can set up your internet like in your apartment. And so Sunday, no call. Monday, no call. And it was about 4 p.m. and I was like, okay, I'm gonna call them because like I need internet. Like it's really difficult to do anything without internet. And they were like, oh, well, you weren't supposed to be like scheduled with a service technician because we still need more info from you. Like we need you to verify your identity and send us these documents. And I was like, okay, well, like no one told me this. And they were like, oh, like this actually, that's something that's been happening a lot. Like the woman on the phone was very like apologetic. She's like, this is not acceptable, like this shouldn't be happening, but you're like the 3rd person to call and like tell me this, that you've signed up for service and you were told the technician was going to go out there, but we really have your account on hold because we need more information. She was very like apologetic, but she was like, you have to fill this stuff out. So I was like, okay, fine. And so she gave me the instructions on what to do. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you want me to go online and download this form and fill it out and like email it back to you with pictures of my like ID and things like that. But like, I don't have any internet. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But the like clubhouse in the leasing office area does have Wi-Fi, so I just grabbed my computer, I went over there, downloaded the form, and then I have my printer and everything, so I had to like pull it out, plug it in, print the form, get them the stuff they needed, and like emailed it back to them. So I'm hoping, they said it could take up to 72 hours to like verify that. But I'm hoping that they will do it before then and then immediately like schedule the service technician to come out here. Because I just like, there are things that I need to do online. And I know I could go to the clubhouse to do whatever I need to do, but it's just so much more convenient like having internet. I guess you don't realize how much you use it until you don't have it. And it's only been like 2 days. So I need to like start on my room because my room is a disaster. Because it's like everything that I would unpack that didn't belong in the kitchen or in the living room, I would just put into my room. And I'll give you like a little overview, just don't judge it. It's a mess. And the bathroom, like I did clean, like wipe down the cabinets and the little linen closet that's in there. I just need to unpack the like one big box of like bathroom stuff. And my closet is a mess. So I gave my mom all of my velvet hangers. because she didn't bring any hangers with her, so I'm gonna have to go buy a box of hangers before I can hang my clothes. But I'm also putting all of the things that we plan on putting into the garage, like once we have the ability to like shut the garage door, into the closet as well. And there's plenty of room in there. It's just like all the boxes haven't been unpacked that are supposed to be unpacked in that space. And tomorrow morning I should be able to tackle the bathroom. Like I said, I've already cleaned everything, so it's just a matter of putting things away. But my bedroom, I don't know how I want to like lay things out in here. So I think the apartment is nice. I think the living room and kitchen, it's like a good space. And the closet is nice and big. The bathroom's nice and big. The bedroom is big, but it's not as big as I was anticipating. You know, like on the floor plans for the apartment, it just gave me like the total square footage. It didn't tell me like the dimensions of each room. So in my mind, I just imagined that this room would be a little bit bigger. And it is good for just like the size of a bedroom, but I need this to be like an entertainment space where I can have my little sofa and TV, so I can come hang out in here if I don't want to like, you know, be in the living room or anything like that. I also need it to be like an office space where I can have a desk and then my bed. And then I also think that it doesn't help that there's like a lot of doors. So you have the door coming into the room, and then you also have a door going into the bathroom, and then you have a door from the hallway into the bathroom, and then you have the door into the closet. So, you know, I get it. Like if you have guests over, they want you to be able to access the bathroom without them coming through your room. And then you should be able to access your bathroom directly from your room. But that just means that like there's less wall space to put, you know, like your bed up against or your desk up against. And I'm not sure how I want to lay it out. And then my closet's actually laid out a bit differently from my mom's. So mine has like I'll have to explain it, but I was thinking about possibly getting rid of my like full-size bed and just getting a twin-size bed and putting it in the closet, because the closet's really big. But because of like the way the clothing racks are in there, it may not be possible. But I don't know, like I'm still toying around with the idea of what I'm gonna do in terms of like a bed, but I'm just struggling with like how to lay out this room, because I'm gonna have like a little TV stand with the TV. I have my little pink couch. I do want to put a desk in here. I also thought about like using the closet as my office and like putting a desk in there, but the only problem is there are no outlets in there. As large as the closet is, there are no power outlets, so I don't think that's gonna fly, even though it would be ideal, because I could put a desk in there and then I could close like all the doors, which would mean like you wouldn't hear like my mother if she was in the kitchen, or you wouldn't hear the dog barking, so it would be really convenient for meetings. But there's just no electrical outlets in there, so I wouldn't be able to like plug in my computer or chart like my printer or anything. But yeah, I'll figure it out. I'm just gonna have to get a little bit creative with this space. But yeah, that's kind of it for like traveling down here. I mean, there were hiccups along the way. And sometimes it felt like everything was just going wrong, and there were a lot of things that went wrong, but you just have to like keep going and find a way to fix them. Yeah, and one thing that I noticed, like there's so much care that goes into packing and like shrink wrapping furniture and things like that, because you don't want it to get like broken or ruined like on the trip, but as soon as you get here, you're just like ripping boxes open, you're just like cutting off shrink wrap. It's like so much easier and faster to kind of like destroy than create and pack everything. But yeah, so it's kind of like, well, why did I even bother? But at the same time, like, nothing arrived broken. There may be some like minor scrapes and things, but nothing major, nothing that like, you know, if you like some of the wood pieces, like there might be some scrapes, like you can just get one of those wood markers and like fill it in. It's no big deal. But yeah, like nothing broke. Oh, I forgot to mention, I didn't go pick up my car until Saturday morning. So even though we got here Friday and returned the moving truck, I was just like, I'm like pooped. I don't want to like go to the airport and get my car. So Saturday morning, before we went to the grocery store and all of that, we did go pick up my car from the airport, and it was totally fine. Like all the stuff was still in there, like no one had messed with my car. Like I said, that's it for the like actual move. Now we're just unpacking and like getting settled in, but I can honestly tell you that I feel like so much more relieved. Like I'm not stressed, and I know like there's a lot of things to unpack and organize and like figure out here in my space, but like I have the time to do that now. And I'm not like worried about anything. I'm just like I can breathe, and I'm in a much better place. Like there's no stress, there's no anxiety, there's no worry. And that's crazy because like I still don't have a job, but I'm not even worried about it, like at all, because I know it'll happen. And now that I'm here, like I feel like this was one of the biggest hurdles. But now that I'm here, it's like, okay, I can do this. It just took a lot to get here. And I know I've only been here 3 days, but it's already feeling like home. It's already like feeling more relaxed, and I just know that I'm in a better state of mind, you know, and I just feel like things are gonna be a lot better here. So yeah, that's kind of it. I will do a tour and kind of show you the apartment when it's a little more set up, so you have an idea of like where I live. But yeah, so just the rest of this week it'll be like unpacking and organizing. And then my second cousin is getting married this Saturday, and so we're going to her wedding. It's in Arkansas. It's a few hours drive, and we're gonna stay in a hotel that evening. So I also need to like find something to wear to the wedding, but I'm really looking forward to like seeing my family. So she's my second cousin. She's my cousin's daughter. All of my cousins are a lot older than me. They're in their like mid to late 40s. So their children are like 20 to 25. So she's getting married, and we're gonna go, which I'm excited for. I feel like it'll be a nice like June wedding, a fun event. And then the following week is 4th of July, and I'm not sure if we're gonna like what we're gonna do, but it'll be something fun. And then the week after that is my birthday, and I'm thinking of going to San Antonio for my birthday. And then the following week is my uncle's memorial, so we will be going to Northwest Texas to his memorial service, so I'll also get to see my family there as well. And yeah, so the next few weeks is just going to be much more relaxed, and it's just going to be doing like fun things. And then, you know, maybe at the end of July, I'll think about getting a job. But yeah, I just need this time, and I need to like relax a little and kind of bring more joy back into my life, and just, you know, do things that are a bit like more fun and spontaneous and not stress so much, because the last few months they were very stressful, not only with the move but with finishing school too. And I feel like I deserve this break, and I'm definitely going to take it. And yeah, like I said, I feel so much better, so much better being here. And yeah, like I can't fully explain it, but I'm not stressed. And there have been things even the past couple of days that have been happening where I'm just like, I know that this is where God wants me to be. I know that He's providing for me. I know that I don't need to worry. And it feels really good. So just know that if you're going through a really tough time, just pray and have faith, because there are better things coming, and God will never leave you, and you'll know when you're coming out of something. And I'm coming out of something. So y'all know I keep it real. I'm standing at the entrance of my bedroom, and this is what it looks like. Yeah. And then over here is the door to the bathroom. Bathroom's not too terrible. There's just stuff on the counters. And then I have this box that I need to unpack. And then this is my closet over here. Which, yeah, just boxes and things thrown in here.